We're good.
All right.
Well, everybody, it is now 8:15, and we had 15 minutes of some retrograde craziness.
Oh man, what's up, Matt? Yeah, wow. That this energy is getting pretty squirrely. So
absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, that's sort of the theme of what's going on right now, right?
Like, so if anyone's joining us for the first time, let's tell them who we are, shall we?
Yes.
All
Good
right.
idea. Let's do it.
I am Julie Murphy, and I am here to help you awaken your wealth and building your wealth from the inside out, even in these crazy times. Huge opportunities to be able to really build your life to one that you truly desire it to be. And
Beautiful.
My counterpart.
And I am 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, a spiritual bodybuilder, and I am here to help you awaken your health and looking into astrology and looking into all the different aspects of what makes us healthy, and blending that into the wealth. Please check out my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com, and look into the opportunity community, because it's a really awesome place to network and grow and show what we're doing. So your health, your wealth, bring in the spirituality. What's going on? What's happening right now?
Bring it all together.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so interesting because I am watching over and over again every day. Obviously, I am on the horn talking to people about their money every day these days because people are a little nervous.
Understandably so. I can't hear you. I can see you talking, but I can't hear anything again. Oh my God. I can't hear you anything. I can't hear anything. So, but this is a great example of kind of what's going on, right? It's almost like censorship. The universe is censoring you. But we gotta face it, right? We gotta work through it.
Is absolutely.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can't hear you either. I have no idea what's going on.
I can hear you now.
What?
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now? Now I can't hear you.
Go figure. Here, read my lips.
This is
We
nuts.
will figure it out. Yeah? See?
Oh my God, if we don't keep our humor here, I don't know what it is that we're going to be doing.
Hey, it's just going to show all you do is laugh.
We got all this fancy equipment that's supposed to help us with all this stuff, and it doesn't really actually. All right, can you hear me now? Okay, try to talk.
I can hear you now.
I can.
Woohoo!
So I unplugged my fancy microphone, and now everybody can hear me.
Okay. Well, just goes to show sometimes fancy equipment isn't exactly what's going to work. Gotta go back to the roots.
That just goes to show you it's not about your equipment.
Felt a double pun in there somehow.
This is where at this time we have to just keep our humor. You guys, this is so important. It's actually a really good lesson here in the fact that we are being rocked and rolled and things are screwing with us. And it's really how you adapt and you respond. That part is so important these days.
I feel like this whole situation sort of brings up the concept of censorship. It almost seems like there's censorship going on everywhere. It's crazy, but with this stuff not working and things going haywire, we're having to get unconventional about how we go forward and not letting little things like this stop us from going into what we want to make happen, right?
Yeah, that's what the whole adapting thing is about. That we're not perfect. It's like, hair is in a ponytail, we're here on Zoom, I'm here in my kitchen with my pretty background, and it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's about what it is that we're trying to do to help everybody to elevate themselves, to get to a higher place with their health and their wealth, so that we're not contracting the coronavirus. And if we are, we're doing it at minimal levels, as well as not going bankrupt in the process while we're all shifting jobs or not working and all that other good stuff, and our money's going awry. So it's about, this time period is 100% about how are we adapting. And the better you can do that, and the more you can stay in your heart, because that's the highest vibration, and not let the ego mind take control, because that's like a rabbit hole. Our ego mind is like a terrible rabbit hole.
Yeah, but now, you know, so I'm feeling called to like sort of segue this whole thing in with the energies going on right now and how it has to do with our wealth, because we're going to be having to approach our wealth and our health in a whole new way with the node shifting, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
the last 18 months and today's the last day of the nodes, and that's why like the last day there's always this big push, right? With
do
this
the
energy.
nodes always know?
What? Node?
Do the nodes always know? Can you explain that? Like I'm okay, I get it because I talk to you all the time, but can you explain the node thing to people?
So the nodes are basically just mathematical equations, or like positions of the moon, right? And these positions, they shift, they sort of go in the counterclockwise mode, opposed to the direction that the planets go, right? So similar to the ages, like we are moving into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces. The right? Age of Aquarius. So, so as we move into this next nodal shift, the nodes represent destiny. It's the energy of the karmic and destined lessons that we're meant to learn collectively as well as individually. Okay, so we're moving from the North Node being in Cancer to going into Gemini. Those very different energies. Cancer is emotional, right? It was about being at home in ourselves, and what we want our homes and feeling at home within ourselves, like being honest with ourselves about, you know, what that feels like and where that is. Now, going into Gemini, this energy is much more cerebral, much more in our head. It's much more about communication, building groups, like wanting to be social and being around people and communicating our beliefs and our feelings. And we're seeing this everywhere.
We got a whole lot of that going on.
Right. And then the South Node, of course, represents like the things that we need to let go of, or the things that are already in place that need to be sort of fine-tuned. Like we had just been going through the South Node in Capricorn, which is about structure, right? It's about government, corporations, like big, you know, entities and these structures in our lives. And we could see in the world that, you know, that is being like broken down and like destroyed right now to create a new one. So with the South Node going through Sagittarius, that's about long distance travel. See how it's being restricted and all these new things that are coming into place about that long distance travel. It's about exploration.
So it's kind of like today when I tried to order a couple shirts, and then I got the response from the ad where it said, "I'm sorry, we don't ship to the US right now."
Yes, basically, like, yeah. So
like, this is the ripple effect of all the energy stuff shaking its way out.
Exactly. So coming into the North Node, I want to focus on the North Node because that's the direction that we're going, right? This is going to be where we're going to discover ourselves in a whole new way. So we see that these belief systems are becoming solidified. Like people are really getting on a whole different level, like embodied or like engulfed in these, you know, this information, which there's no solid like ground of reality anymore.
So is it kind of like watch what you hook to, because that's not becoming your new reality?
Exactly.
So like pick wisely of what you're going to choose to hook to, because this stuff is becoming cement.
Exactly.
That's what it feels like, what you're saying.
So and as this cement solidifies and we come into this next phase, we have to make sure like we're going to be drawing in people that have the same vibration of these belief systems. And it's going to be creating these whole new ways of how we interact with people, how we communicate, how we get out there to the world, how we do business. Okay. And so with these powerful belief systems, I feel that like, according to our health and our wealth, this is going to really establish some new paradigms, if you will, of the desires or the pushes behind how we want to make money, or how we invest, or what we invest into. For example, I've been talking to some people recently that are doing marketing and advertising for companies. So this one friend of mine, he's doing this big thing for masks, right? Like masks are a big deal right now, but you know, his,
I know that.
right? So his belief system is like, okay, you know, like I feel strongly about, like, you know, this whole the pandemic thing that's going on, like, you know, there's agendas and lies going on everywhere, but this predominant corporation wants these made up, and he wants them to market it based on a belief system that is counter to his belief system, ethically and morally.
Well,
And
and
we're
that's where I see that when people do that with their jobs, that's when all of a sudden, when you choose to do a job that is not in alignment with your belief system, disease creates in your body, and all the money walks away from you.
Right.
So not only do you have a deterioration in your health, you also have a deterioration in your cash flow and in your wealth.
Right. But so now what's going to happen when people that have been doing business for years suddenly now come into these opposing belief systems and they want to do these deals and make this money? Are you going to sacrifice losing a ton of money for, like, and losing these clients or people that you're working with? Or are you going to sacrifice your moral and ethical values and go into those, you know, deals and things and possibly sacrifice your moral and ethical belief systems? How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, what's super clear to me is the fact that, well, and mind you, I've been doing this for over 25 years in terms of the fact that, and years ago, I had decided I could not wear the blue suit anymore in finance. I couldn't be that mahogany desk financial firm. And that's when I bought the loft space out in the West Loop in Chicago. And it's exposed brick. And I got rid of all my business suits because it's like, you know what? I'm asking people to share their heart and soul in what's important to them, what they want to provide to their families and what they want to do and accomplish in their life. And that I really operate from that heart space where I have an entire industry that until recently has been going, there's something to emotions with people's money. And I'm like sitting here going, I wrote the book in 2008 called The Emotion Behind Money. And I'm like going, at what point did we decide to take humanity out of finance? Like, we all have a heart. And you know what? We have got to align how we're moving forward with our hearts, or else, because if you try to do it from your egoic mind, you're going to continue to create these suffering cycles that I watch people do over and over again. And those suffering cycles actually come into being because we have our subconscious mind is 97% of our response to the external world. You have to think of it this way. We have two operating systems. We have our conscious mind, and then we have our subconscious mind. And we're all like, well, we want to do something else. We want to do something. I'm like, well, you would do something else if you were conscious of how to make a different decision. So it's about the fact that you have to go after the subconscious mind, which is actually aligned more with your heart. And then it creates this whole concept called coherence. Right. And this is where we have to really drive everything from a higher vibration, which is from our hearts and not from our minds. You know, there's this organization called heartmath.org, and they've done all the research on this. And they have measured that the magnetic force of our minds only goes for 2 feet, but the magnetic force of the human heart, they only have something to measure it for 8 miles. And they know it goes longer than 8 miles. That's why when you like go to a party or go somewhere and you start to walk up to somebody and you're going, oh, I gotta walk away from them. It's because you're energetically feeling the magnetic force, whether it's pulling you towards them or pushing you away from them. Right. And it's back that whole experiment that we all learned in like 3rd or 4th grade with 2 magnetics in a plastic bag. They either retract from each other or go right back together. Right. And so we have to remember that that's the way our hearts work. And so, go ahead. So
how do you equate that to, like, say, millionaires that have not figured this out yet? People that have a lot of money yet don't operate from this space, because there's a lot of them. I'm sure you know quite a few.
Yeah, well, they have figured it out. You know, what I find with so many millionaires is that they have figured out how to do it from a money and a business perspective. But a lot of times, so many of those people did it at the cost of their families and their relationships. And so the question is where is the energy leak, right? And so what I find is that, you know, I talk about people being the poor, the debtors, the dreamers, accumulators, rich but empty, and then embodying real wealth. And that's not a linear pattern. Like, you can go from being a debtor right to being and experiencing real wealth. And what it means is that you're living, real wealth is really embodying a state of living from a place from your heart, from heart-centered awareness and heart-centered consciousness. And then you're truly happy. Like, I don't care. I had a call today with somebody who's 55 years old, who really has not, you know, back in the day owned a business, it went defunct, and then went and worked for corporate America, and it's gotten all this debt because they're not happy. So they created debt and spending to try to create happiness. And then now at 55, trying to reinvent themselves. And it's like, well,
Wow.
what makes you tick? And we started to get to the bottom of that. And it was like, you would have thought she won the lottery. And I'm telling you, that will make it so that her physical body stays more healthy, as well as it will attract more money to her. And she won't be trying to spend her money to create her happiness.
That makes sense. Huh.
Kind of like today, how so many of us aren't spending money because the stores aren't open and the restaurants aren't open. Now, granted, you may have, you know, like I have a friend of mine who actually lives where you live in Vegas. And she said that she had lost her job. And she said, well, Jewel, I needed to make income. So what I did is I went and I worked for the dispensaries, because they, ever since the stimulus checks got deposited in everybody's checking accounts, the business in the dispensary business, everybody wants deliveries of their marijuana.
No shit.
And I was like, wow, that's distracting you from the reality of what's going on.
Right. No kidding.
On top of the fact that good for her for finding the industry to make income so that she's still on pace to go buy the house that she wants in January.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so there's two different ways to look at that.
Okay. So also I want to bring up this whole thing about the Nasara, that post that I sent you. So for all of you guys, can you explain what the whole concept is?
Well, I don't know if every point on that sheet is correct.
Of course.
But I feel that we are in some kind of reset now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You think?
The question is what and how, right? And so, and that's where I have been getting in my meditations just some intuitive hits that have actually come into fruition. Like for an example, a lot of people aren't aware that, you know, back in the day, John F. Kennedy actually created this document that is very similar to the thing that you sent me today. That and it covers a lot of those bullet points, and the fact that it's a global monetary reset.
Right.
Is what it was, the instructions on how to do it. That's what JFK put into place. And I've been reading about this for months now. And what's super interesting to me is that portions of that are already coming into fruition, or versions of that I'm seeing. Like it's really just like equalizing out across the board of helping people get out of debt. Think about small businesses. Small businesses can get these loan programs right now that turn around, and if you follow some of the rules, then it's not loan money, it's grant money.
Right.
Like it's just like you don't have to pay it back. That's also happening with the stimulus checks that are being deposited into people's checking accounts.
Yeah, but also but have you also noticed that most of that money for small business has ended up going to much bigger business and not the mom and pops?
Oh, there's no doubt. I own a small business and I've applied at 8 banks and I have a really good credit and I haven't gotten one of them.
That's ridiculous. But so
I agree with you that it's going to the bigger business, not huge businesses, but it's going to the bigger small businesses that employ more people, not to the ones that, you know, I have, 13 employees.
Right.
So it's not going to my size.
No, it's going for the more
ones that are
size businesses that have hundreds and hundreds of employees, if not thousands.
Well,
right?
I've also come to learn that it's also going a lot to the companies who already have deadlines with the banks. So if you weren't already skinning the wheels of the grease of the bank that you're with, you didn't get a chance to even get the money. The people who are already doing it's like the big old boys club all over again.
Wow. Well, that doesn't really surprise
and that
me.
happened
That's
to all of the businesses that I know. And so
interesting.
I don't want to get into conspiracy theory. I can only talk about like what my experience has been and the experiences that I'm watching happen.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm super careful right now that I don't want to get into the energy of duality and polarity.
No,
Because
no, no,
that
no.
just perpetuates more of the energy we're moving out of the mind
Right.
and ego. And I want us to make sure that we're focusing on, you know, how do we actually,
Moving
you know,
forward and
yeah, and that comes from operating from our hearts. Because you know what, if the Great Reset is happening and that's all true,
yeah,
okay, well, but that's the macro environment.
right.
You can only control your micro environment. So what are you doing to get healthier and creating and embodying a state of real wealth in your life? Because that is a possibility for all of us, and we just have to choose it on some level. And so many of us are not choosing it yet.
Right, right. And I'm right there with you on that page. I like, a lot of people don't even know this is going on. A lot of people don't understand these things that are popping up. So just to help you guys understand, you know, to know what we were even talking about, the NESARA, it's an acronym for this concept of a global financial reset that is supposed to get rid of the IRS and taxes and establish a 14% fixed tax flat rate across everywhere, to increase Social Security to $5,000 a month for elderly people, to I don't know.
Those kind of changes are like so first of all, the 14% flat tax. I mean, flat tax has been talked about for a really long time.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that
it's
concept.
not coming to fruition. And as far as increasing Social Security, well, I mean, the Social Security system needs to be rectified in itself in the way that it is today. So increasing that, you know, I mean, a lot of people have huge concerns about the Social Security system today. I have a different viewpoint of it, because when you have millennials that are more in numbers than baby boomers, and you have a pay-as-you-go system on some level, the absolute worst case scenario that will happen to the Social Security system in its current health, that when we hit, I think at the year is 2033 or 32, one of those years, if nothing happens and no reform happens, then anyone who's on Social Security benefits will get 80% of what they're currently getting. Like, that's the worst case scenario of Social Security.
Yeah.
Now, that all being said, that's a long way away. We have a lot to get through in the next 12, 15 years.
Right. Yeah, of course. I just, you know, we see all these changes happening, and all these things that are just unexpected, all these parts of the structures that are falling off and coming into place. And I think it's good just to be in the know of the ideas of what is going on. So, but at the end of the day, at the very core, you know, I think that it's about just following our heart and, you know, stepping into, you know, having the courage to step into what it is that we love to do. And at first you may not really know where you're going or what you're doing, but that same thing with when you work out, right? You can't feel the contraction of the muscle. You just have to have faith and trust that the work that you're doing is going to pay off. And you know that from all this evidence that's everywhere. And the evidence isn't exactly everywhere with finances, because that's more of an internal job related to belief systems about how it's supposed to be done through our environment. We're taught through our environment, you know, through our parents or whoever it is that raised us, how to think and feel about money. And same thing about, you know, exercise as well. You know, it's all about the environment. And if you're coming from a place of fear, you know, it's just going to cause problems. So we need to
I think
love.
And I think the
love, baby.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is the fact that these infrastructure changes, I mean, you know it better than anybody that astrologically, these infrastructures are changing in government, in medical, in finance. It is in education. These are our major systems that are being cracked apart right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to be rebuilt. And that's why, and that's how we started this Zoom, was about adapt, adapt, adapt. Because we haven't even seen a fraction of that change.
Oh, no. This is just the beginning. This is the cracking of the shell right now. And you know what? I was thinking about this earlier too. Like, if you look back to all the things that have happened in history, like the major times of wars or of, you know, significant people rising that have influenced people for generations, we see that there's always this mass awakening, right? These people that are rebelling against how things have been, you know, have been happening. And in needing to having this revolutionary energy to change the systems. And right now we're coming into this energy of revolution and of the desire for change. And we're seeing how, you know, like, just like it happens every time, there's censorship, there's people that rebelling against the censorship, and there's new ideas and new formulations moving through. And as we go through that, you know, there's a lot of difficult things that need to be addressed, like collectively as well as within ourselves. And
well,
we see
remember,
on both
the
sides.
collective is only a reflection of who we are individually.
Right.
Right? Because
Yeah,
we live in a hologram. And we have to realize that everything we put out there is a mirror, and that's what everything comes back. And this is what I don't believe. I don't think a lot of people even realize that.
I think what's going on, Mike? How you doing, brother? Yes, I'm live. Sorry, I got people saying what's up. Yes,
don't leave me out. I want to say hello too.
I'm putting a peace dealer, man. My peace dealer, my super homie. Yeah, you guys should go check him out. Peace dealer over on YouTube. He's a fucking riot. These things. He flows some pretty fucking nasty beats too. What's up, guys? And hey, I'm really sorry you guys are going through that divorce right now. Like, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of really intense personal stuff. But remember that you're going through it now for a reason, and it's
not like the issues weren't there before all this.
Right, exactly. Hell yeah, man. So, you know, we have to feel it and face it. And there's a good chance that feeling it and going through it and facing it and establishing these more solid boundaries is going to positively influence in the long run your health and your wealth. Okay? Because that's clearly a sign that something is in the process of, you know, it's holding you back.
Well, and I had shared with one of my clients one time, he was putting everything into his career, but yet there was all this turmoil, and his wife wanted to go to counseling and all that stuff for their marriage. And he's like, I don't have time for that. I'm busy, blah, blah. She just needs to get her act together, blah, blah. And I go, you know, you're doing all this because you're providing for your family and you want to build the money. I said, do you understand if you get divorced, half of it goes out the door, and so it's all worth nothing? And he was like,
right.
Oh. Like, it was like this, like, oh. And I was like, you got to remember, life is about harmonizing all the areas of your life. It's not about domination in one place or another, because that will kick your butt long run.
Will. I'm getting a big lesson in that too, you know, with like learning about the whole court thing, you know, so it's a humbling experience, and we're all getting humbled in some way, shape, or form, but allow it to humble you. Don't fight it. The transformation, surrender. If it's going to be tough and painful and shitty, then it's going to be tough and painful and shitty. But if you embrace it and you allow it to go through you, oh, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but then you break free and you're like, yeah.
Well, I remember somebody telling me my divorce process, they're going, you just have to surrender the process. I'm like, I don't surrender to anything. I was like,
right.
I don't surrender. Julie Murphy from the South Side does not surrender. I did not surrender. South Side. No.
Oh my God. Oh, we need to do a skit with you having a blue bandana on your head. I'll have a red one. What's up, homie? Right?
No, but seriously, all jokes aside, like, I got out of where I grew up and made something of myself, and I did not do that by surrendering. You know, I busted my butt. But you know what I realized is that I decided my new word was that I was going to co-create with the universe. I was not going to surrender. And now where I'm at, I'm like going, yeah, that was just bullshit in my ego along the way. And really, it's just about letting go and surrendering into the process, because the more you can relax into it and allow it just to unfold,
right?
Actually, to your point, the easier your life is and the easier it is to adapt. And, you know, and trust me, I fought for my limitations for a long time on that one. And it's like, you know, you really, and it affected my health along the way. You know, I had terrible PTSD afterwards, because the more I was not surrendering and fighting the process, it was like this assassination that was happening to me.
Yeah, you gotta lube that shit up. I was
the one that chose it. That was 100% me, you know?
Right, exactly.
So it's just about like moving with it, you know?
You gotta move, gotta go with the flow. And right now, you know, it's like you may not even know what the flow is. So what do you do if you don't know what the flow? You just silence your mind. It's all about, it comes back to your breath and just not trying to figure it out. Because what happens is when the universe takes us in these weird directions and shit starts falling apart, we have to take a step back, and then we start to analyze it and try to figure it out. And then we just get lost in these rabbit holes. Just stop trying to, and that's financially, that's with health, that's with anything in life.
Yep. And you know what? Can we talk about that for a second? Because
Bring it. Yeah,
I've had a lot of people lately, and this happened to me a couple weeks ago, where you almost feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Like you are bringing it up to your head and you're trying to evaluate and you're trying to think it out and you're like, but I'm not, I'm surrendering. If you feel like you're going nuts right now, congratulations. Because that is exactly what happens right before you actually surrender and let go. Because it's like the ego's last ditch effort to go, I'm not surrendering. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you have no other choice to surrender because your brain is just going,
right.
And it's time to let it go. And so I know a lot of people with the energy happening right now, they feel a little nuts. And so that's good. So the way to respond to that is, like you said, go for a walk, go for a workout, go meditate, go listen to your favorite song, go do whatever pulls you down out of your head.
I'll tell you what, me getting out into nature for that day and a half, like completely shifted my energy and grounded me and made me feel so much better. Especially if you're in a city or a place where there's 5G going up everywhere, that's definitely messing with our brains, you know, electromagnetic activity. So, you know, getting out in the nature is huge. And look, it's safe to go into nature. All right. Like, come on, like it's safe to be in nature, go out into nature, ground, get healthy, go do a drum circle or something. Like, it's all good. Okay.
I just took my kids to the beach the other day and I posted on Facebook, freedom. And I had them grounding. I had them all take their shoes off. They were freaking nuts in my house. Like they were bouncing off the walls. I'm like, y'all need to ground. Yeah. And so I took them out into nature. And you know what? This is hilarious. But in the city of Chicago, because the city workers are not working right now, so there's a lot of crap on the beaches, right? And garbage, I'll just say, like there's this garbage. And my kids were like, Mom, look, there's sea glass. I'm like, or broken bottles from people drinking out here. See, so I was picking up the pieces that were newer sea glass that could actually cut their feet, while my kids were like finding the ones that the sand had already rubbed up against and made them a little smooth and they actually looked like little art pieces, honestly. Really? But it was funny how we kind of turned it into like well, let's clean up the beach and all the garbage and let's ground you as well as, you know, but we were just, that's what I'm talking about. Like just adapt with the time. They needed to get some fresh air. They needed to go ground. They needed to connect with nature. And we cleaned up the beach while we were at it. And we threw a bunch of glass away. You know, it was good.
Oh yeah. Nice.
so you gotta just be creative today, you know, and be creative. But it was really interesting to me, if I may say, it was really interesting to me how many people came up with responses from a place of duality and polarity. Like, you know, what are you doing out there without a mask? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And like all these other people, I'm going, you guys, there is a whole other different thought process here.
Right.
My kids and I are healthy. We're not in the high risk class, as well as we're not being smart, and we are when we're in close quarters to people wearing our masks and doing that stuff. But there's something about build your own immune system.
100%.
And so you know, this is about the adapting piece. Like just be open to solutions. Right.
And it's interesting that no like mainstream places are talking about that. How do you strengthen your immune system? Like the greatest defense is a good offense, right? Like take care of your health like naturally, but there is none of that because it doesn't make any money. But what's interesting, your energy was radiating serenity and peace in your video of your, oh, awesome. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Sorry, sidetrack. So have you, so this apparently, like, you know, with all this millions of pounds of meat and vegetables and, you know, like plants and fruits that are being wasted and like thrown away because of everything that's going on right now, they're talking about this new way of sort of like creating or harvesting meat, is that they're going to literally clone, like take stem cells and like make it in a 3D printer. And I just heard, I don't know how accurate this is, but they're saying that 30% of that is going to be like human, like I guess it's going to base the amino acid
that
sequence.
can't be good for our health.
Well, no, that's literally like taking another step beyond GMO. But like, does that mean that they're going to make people that still eat meat cannibals? That's weird.
Maybe that's why I've been being called to be a vegetarian lately.
You know, I'm honestly, I'm starting to feel that calling too. I may actually just, you know, switch over to that dark side.
Well, it's funny. Like it was funny. Like I, for 2 weeks, did not eat any meat. And today I actually did have some meat.
Yeah.
But you know what? I realized I was like, I don't know whether it's good for my body or not good for my body. All I know is I felt really good for 2 weeks not eating it. And it didn't like make me feel bad eating it, but it was just kind of like, oh, you know, it's just interesting. Again, adapting, right? I'm going,
yeah,
I can grow my own vegetables.
Absolutely. Right. Right. And that's what things are gonna start to happen. If you notice, like a lot of these documentaries and like a lot of these new contraptions that are being created are to create your own like hydroponic like systems where you can grow your own fruits and vegetables and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to start.
That you can put on your kitchen countertop now, the herb lamps and stuff like that. You can grow your herbs right on your kitchen counter.
Yeah, yeah, and there's more and more things that are coming out like that, and I think that that's going to be like the next big thing. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are going plant-based right now. You know, of course I like when I stop eating meat, like I lose like 10 pounds, but you know, maybe that's part of what I gotta. Huh?
Said that didn't happen to me. I didn't lose 10 pounds. Stop eating meat.
Well, not all meat causes cancer. That's an oversimplification, and that's not necessarily 100% true. But that's a debate for another video. Right now, we're talking about health and wealth. I'll get into that. But talking to people about nutrition is it's almost like talking about religion.
Right.
Like people, like especially like vegans. I love you vegans, guys. You guys are awesome, but you guys are also so damn stubborn in your belief systems. Crazy. So
it's
like
kind of like yogis are the most inflexible people sometimes.
The irony, but yeah, that's so true. Like we either know we're right or we're open to learning, and you cannot have both. And the more you know, the more you realize you don't really know shit, but that's okay. But we always have to be open to learning and growing. There's not one, like the human body is not just one set number of rules. Everybody is unique and different. So my way is not gonna be right for you and you and you, but if you establish it from the basis of the human body and the biology and biochemistry and, you know, fundamental functions of how the body and mind work, that's where you get your actual clear truths and answers, because really everybody's truth is their own. Truth is subjective. Right.
Well, and you know, one of the biggest pieces I think to all of this, to increase all of our health and all of our wealth, is that we have to realize we're all one. And when you
100%.
judge other people for their viewpoints, and when you don't hold a safe space for someone else to come from a different viewpoint, that that goes back to duality and polarity, and that's the energy we're moving away from.
Right.
It doesn't come from a place of love. It doesn't come from heart-based consciousness. And we have to start to, and it's not that we don't stand up for what we believe in, but do it with love and compassion. Don't do it with this like fighting energy. It's like, enough already. Like, you know what? It's really okay. You know, I have 4 kids. And one thing you learn, I'm one of 12 and I have 4 myself. And one of the things you learn when you grow up in a house with so many people is that you have to allow space for other people to have a different opinion. And there's an awful lot of people out there that didn't grow up with as many siblings as I did. And so it's kind of hard to learn that lesson when you're not forced to when you're younger. But you know, I think it's super important to start to get perspective of the fact that it's okay that somebody else has a different opinion. It really is okay. And it's about being respectful in the process. And having love and compassion. Because then we can all grow together and learn from each other, as opposed to like, no, my way's right. No, my way's right. And it's like, whoa, slow your roll, man. You know?
Hey, real quick, I want to answer a question here because it's
Yeah.
I need to specify. So Jeannie, I know you're not stubborn, babe. I know you're on my stuff all the time, and you're saying that dairy causes cancer. Okay, it's not the dairy that causes cancer. It's the pesticides and the hormones and all the crap that they put in, the antibiotics and all the crap they put in to that concentrates these poisons in our body. Back 30, 40, 50 years ago, dairy was actually fairly healthy for you, right? And this day and age, our bodies can't handle all that crap. We're being bombarded from every side, right? So it's more specific than that. And, you know, see, so thank you. I love you very much. And just wanted to throw that out there. Also 9, Jesus, 12 kids, 9 kids. You guys are crazy. How do parents have a dozen kids and function?
Sex.
But I mean, like, how do you even afford that?
Your health. No.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
well, you know what? My parents loved every minute of it. So, you
hey,
know,
that's what matters.
That's who they came in here to be, you know, like.
True.
And you know what? And I'm grateful because it made me who I am today. You know, I didn't have my first kid.
And you're a wonderful, beautiful person too, Julie.
Oh, aren't you sweet? My mom would be so happy.
Oh,
she's like, that's the way I raised her, as opposed to the truck driver mouth sometimes.
You're like, Mom, shut the fuck up. Come on. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, I would never use the F-bomb for my mom because I think she'd still whip my butt.
Yeah, right.
Old school way. No, she just has to look at you and you're like,
oh, yeah. I know all about that.
That look.
Absolutely. That look.
Yeah. I haven't mastered that with my kids yet.
No.
No, but it's super, you know, speaking of kids, like, I think it's super important that we have to also understand that how we are coping and dealing with this, whether you have children or don't have children, kids are like sponges.
Oh, 100%.
And they are picking up how they are going to be responding to the world with their health and their wealth, depending on how we're behaving in the world right now. And so I think it's super important for us to teach the younger generations that, you know, if we're not adapting as adults, you're not going to adapt. You know, can I actually take a minute to teach something that I learned a few weeks ago? So what happens, I said earlier that we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And our 97% of our response to the external world comes from our subconscious mind. And that comes from back here, from our amygdala. Okay, this is where all of our memory and all of our history plays. Whereas we're trying to live in the present moment, which is here in our neocortex, okay, like our third eye, right? And the problem is that we're responding from back here when we want to respond from here. The thing is that we get triggered. We trigger our old emotional traumas. And so a really, really fast, easy way to shift. So the next time you're triggered, because all this polarity and fighting back and forth means that you're triggered. And when you are triggered, something has to shift within you. You are the person that needs to shift if you're triggered, which I remember going through my divorce process and I was triggered all the time. Like, what do you mean something has to change with me? Nothing needs to change with me, blah, 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 blah. And I gave every other reason why. But I learned that I absolutely needed to shift because I was the one triggered. And the way you do that is you have to integrate your right and your left brain. And so if you put your hands and you cross your arms like this, and then you go down your arms and you do it 20 times after you, so you're triggered. Okay, so here's an example. You're triggered.
The other side above the other, does it matter?
It doesn't matter. What's important is that you're crossing the right and left brain, and then you're aligning your heart chakra, your heart meridian.
So go like that.
Yeah, so you go like that.
Okay,
and
with the intention of what again?
So the first thing you do is you're triggered.
Triggered. I'm triggered.
You're triggered. All right, you're triggered. Somebody pissed you off.
Triggered.
Then you go, now you're in your amygdala. You're in your past. It was from a past trauma. And then you sit there and go, on a scale from 1 to 10, how triggered am I? So are you number 8?
Okay, we're at 8.
Okay, so you're triggered at number 8. And then you do 20 times.
20 times.
You do this 20 times.
While you're triggered.
Go down your arms. Rub all the way down your arms. And then you'll follow, physiologically, you will move from your amygdala up to your neocortex. And then when you're done, pick the number of what you're triggered at that point. And usually it's going to be like a 1 or a 2. It completely shifts your kinetics inside to move from your past trauma to living in present moment awareness.
So that's literally shifting the energetic wiring in your brain.
Yes.
That sounds like some NLP or some bioenergetic stuff right there.
Yes. Well, it's called havening is what it's called.
Havening.
Havening. And it has been the thing that I have learned that has shifted people's emotions even faster than tapping. A lot of people will be tapping their faces and stuff like that. Havening by far shifts your physiology super fast, because we have got to get out of reacting from our amygdalas and our past to living in the present moment, in the now, in the neocortex. And, and this is a huge tool to be able to do that, to positively affect your health.
Mama Jody and 𝘊𝙬𝙬𝙧 said they're going to try it. So
give it a whirl. Give us our feedback, because you know what?
Please let me know how that works. I'm going to try it too.
Because I can tell you, it has done wonders in my world, from recovering from my PTSD and stuff like that from my divorce process. Because I would be in a completely different situation and I'm triggered. And I'm like, it has zero to do with what's actually going on in that moment. It has to do with my past trauma.
Right. Someone said my demonstration was classic. We got to throw the, like.
Maybe you stick on some Madonna music. I touch myself. I want you to love me.
Is that Madonna?
A little self-love. A little self-love.
Yeah, a little TLC.
Well, you know what? It's about, let's get to the next place. Like, let's stop screwing around. Like, let's get to really embodying this state of real wealth, so that we can really enjoy our lives and stop all this other stuff that just is not worth the time we're here on Earth.
No, I am right there with you. And we are all being triggered right now for a purpose, because we are being asked to step up into that place of love and not live in fear anymore. Exactly. We have to. Like, the time is now, guys.
Or disease will develop in your body.
Or disease will definitely develop. And that's like, right now, this is the year, this is the time, every day, to make those good decisions, to create those belief systems that are for our highest and best good. Because those belief systems, tell you what, like, I'm seeing some people around here, these belief systems are getting just nasty. They're like based in anger and hate.
And we have to know that is based on past traumas. It's not about the present moment, usually.
Right.
It's about your emotions from your past and something in your subconscious mind. And what happens is that response, that trigger gets more intense, more intense, more intense, more intense. Mm-hmm. And that is when then your body eventually breaks down. And that's when, like, you lose your jobs, or, because, there are so many people, I think, that are going to be struggling with the fact that they've probably really enjoyed sitting at home and not being at their jobs. Because
I think so too.
There's a lot of people that don't like what they do for a living.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Because
we've chose it for the almighty paycheck, and we have not chose it because it actually feeds our heart and soul.
Yeah, that's a problem. And look, depending on what, like, I remember, like, after I got out of the military, I was 31. I was like, crap, I got to start my whole life over now. I don't know what the hell to do. And I thought I was gonna be a lifer in the military, and I felt way behind. And a lot of people you see mid 40s or mid 30s or even mid 50s that are starting from scratch, starting over. I mean, the older you get, you're like, you start to get that feeling like, what am I gonna do? Like, or if you're getting divorced, like, now I'm gonna be alone. Now, like, like you start to fear, like, all these new kinds of fears start to come up, because you're realizing, hey, my time here is limited. I don't have a whole lot of but again, it's about these triggers are happening to bring you in love with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and I think that we just need to start to realize that it's okay to find the courage to say, I'm not going back to the job that I was just in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So take this time to really reflect of, what is it that you really truly want to do? And maybe you're not going to take a meteor and throw it at your life and blow it up all in one shake. Now, for some of you, that may actually work, and it may be a good catalyst. But for others, maybe you need to just, slowly feed yourself the rope to transition from that job, that you really, like one of my employees, bless his heart, and I'll miss him dearly, but he's decided to take the leap and jump and move to California with his bride-to-be. And, and he's starting over at another firm out in California. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to miss him, But you know what? I knew that was always on the bucket list, and I knew eventually it was probably going to happen. And he's just using it as an opportunity to do it right now. And you know what? When you do things that are aligned with your soul's path, it's all going to always turn out, because the universe will bring you everything that you need to support you on the other side. And I just want to remind people, like, if you guys have questions and stuff like that for us, like, bring them on. You know, we want to know, like, what questions you guys have for us. You know, we could certainly obviously sit here and chit chat all day long. And
me and Julie are really good at that. Just talking and talking and talking and talking. So whatever questions you guys have, please bring them.
Bring them on. We are here to help. Absolutely.
Amen. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah. I love it.
I was like that Catholic little Irish girl that sat quiet in the corner. So screaming amen is a little awkward to me.
Well, I hear you. I remember the first time when I was living down in like Florida, Alabama line, and I went to a church down there. It was, I think it was like what is it down south?
Baptist church?
I think it was Baptist, yeah. And man, and these guys were like speaking in tongues and shit. And that was the first time that I was exposed to that. That was really strange. Like, I remember this one, like, bless his heart,
way to be open to watch somebody different.
Right, yeah. And like this one friend of mine who was in the military, he was like, can I pray over you? And I was like, okay, well, yeah, of course, I'll take any, you know, I need it. And then like 5 other people came over, and it all of a sudden almost felt like I don't, it was weird, because then I had like 5 people with their hands on my head, and like they were shaking, and they were like it's weird, just not speaking any words, just like making sounds. And I was just like, and their hands were shaking it on my head, like, you know, like, you're healed. It was very, very, because I did not feel healed after that. I felt very, very almost violated, and it was very strange. But I was young, and I didn't know, like, I was searching. You know, and that was everybody around me. That's what they did.
Bless your heart. You were open. You know, you were open to be like, okay, I was given this experience for some reason, and okay, let me take what it is that I want to learn from it and go from there. You know, and it's kind of like when people are talking about, like, I can't move my jobs because of these things, and I'm like going, says who? Like, who says that you can't do that?
That's a choice that they're making, because they believe that they don't have an option.
Right.
But maybe the options are uncomfortable. But when people say that, they really have to take a look at themselves and, okay, why am I choosing to believe this? Because really, deep down, they don't believe that they have it. They've convinced themselves that this is the only way. And that is the problem. That's the belief that's the problem. So I do have a question here. It says, what do you guys think about speaking in tongues? What do you think about it? What's your feelings on it?
I know nothing about it.
Okay. Well,
I seriously, I have zero clue. You know what? More power to me if that's what works for you.
Right. So I believe that the concept of speaking in tongues is all about channeling, right? So you're supposed to be
really not sure.
The energy of source, and that's what the tongues are supposed to be. Since my experiences with more like ayahuasca and shamanism and working with that world, you know, they have songs called 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 that are sang in ancient tongue, if you will, but they're actual songs. They're actually, the vibration of the words actually means something to activate a certain frequency or vibration within the body. That to me makes more sense. That to me actually really works with shifting the vibration or activating a prayer in some way, shape, or form. But I think a lot of people try to force it with the whole speaking in tongues thing. I think there are certain people, like, you know, maybe people that are actually channeling information and actually bringing that through, but it's very rare that you find someone that is actually channeling the energy and not trying to force it. If you're trying to force it, it's bullshit.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, when I did all this work with the Chopra Center all these years ago, you know, I was at a thing with Deepak Chopra and his partner, Dr. David Simon, and they had this family that the 2 daughters, when they were 4 and 6 years old, started just speaking a language the parents had no idea what it was about, and they were starting to sing songs. And turns out it was Sanskrit, which is the old Indian language, right? And so now
that's legit, I think.
Yeah, well, and now, so here are these girls like since they were little, were writing songs in Sanskrit. Like they came in already knowing this, like they channeled it.
Right.
And they now perform all over the world and are beautiful musicians and like that. So that's where it's your point. Like, don't force it. Like if you were brought here to bring these chants and things to the world, they are those words. We always say that whatever you think, whatever you speak, whatever you feel, that is the vibration out to the world, and words have vibrations. And I know in my own experience in working with the shamans, there was this one time this shaman was a female shaman was right behind me during ceremony, and she was chanting, and I could not like turn my head and listen to her, because whatever she was saying in a different language
was activating
something absolutely in my physical system, and I could not listen to that. Like I still to this day have no idea what she was saying. All I know is I had an incredible healing experience. I was doing that work.
It's speaking to your energy, to your subconscious mind, or even to the unconscious part of your mind. And I think that when you really truly have the gift, which people definitely do, then that is when you are the catalyst for that particular healing technique. And I think that is incredibly profoundly effective at healing.
There is no doubt. And so, it's just about being open, because, and again, remember, everything is vibration. So we, be very mindful of putting out there things that are coming from your heart and not from your egoic mind. Because if you continue down the egoic mind, whether it's, if you keep going down the path of doing a job that's because of lifestyle and money and your ego, and you need another notch in your belt, that's only gonna like explode on you in where consciousness is moving to. No different than in your health. You're gonna develop cancer. You're gonna I remember Deepak Chopra saying to me, Julie, a cancer cell develops because that cell has lost its sense of purpose. And I had 50% of my male clients between 55 and 65 had developed cancer around their hip area.
Ooh.
So first and second chakra, colon cancer, prostate cancer. And I was like, how did all these guys lose their sense of purpose? And every single one of them lost their sense of purpose because they were all let go of their jobs, not by their choice.
Wow.
They weren't ready to unplug from being the provider and providing for their families. And their wives had dropped them like a hot potato, later divorces in life after the kids were raised. And then their job dropped them. And then it's like you're rebuilding yourself between 55 and 60 years old, and you don't know whether to shit or wind your watch. And now
you don't know whether to what?
Shit or wind your watch.
Or wind your watch. I never heard that one before. I like that.
Oh, it must be a Southside Irish thing. But
I love it. You're right.
You're from Massachusetts. You guys got some Southies over there in Boston.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Hey, forget about it.
It's just the fact that, just be mindful, because it's going to act out in your money or your health if you really don't choose from your heart. And I know that's my motivator for doing these calls, because so that people can learn,
Absolutely.
what it is that we're talking about.
So very true. Man, powerful.
Well, we had a rough beginning today, but I'm super grateful that people hung on with us.
Yeah, we made it through. It happened. We had a great conversation.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can join me, 𝘰𝐿𝐼murphy.com. We have all kinds of tools and resources to help you along your journey. And I'll be coming out with a mini course here soon. And we're also going to be giving away my book for free, Awaken Your Wealth. All you have to do is pay for your shipping. So look out for that. If you go to 𝘰𝐿𝐼murphy.com, sign up, and then we'll let you know when it's all going to happen.
Hell yeah. And you can go check me out at spiritualbodybuilder.com. Join my opportunity community. If you want an astrology reading, check me out. I also do spiritual health coaching as well. Let's make it happen. Love you guys.
Awesome. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.